On March 24, 2015, at 10 a.m., Germanwings Flight 9525 is cruising over the French Alps on its route from Barcelona to Düsseldorf. Everything seems normal, but at 10:40 a.m., controllers in Marseille notice the plane is flying 2,000 feet lower than it should be. They try to reach the cockpit to find out why it's descending. Multiple attempts on different frequencies, including through military controllers, get no response. In that same minute, 10:40, the radar signal disappears. Authorities immediately scramble French Air Force jets to search for the aircraft, realizing the flight and everyone on board are in serious danger. At 10:41, Flight 4U9525 clips a mountain with its right wing, then slams nose first into an alpine slope and explodes, disintegrating completely. No one survives. Debris is scattered across 1.2 miles of rugged terrain. Only helicopters can reach the site. There's no road in. What happened? On March 24th, a federal bureau dispatched 7 investigators to the crash site. After many hours of searching, they managed to find one of the aircraft's black boxes. It was badly damaged, but still usable. They also found a video recording of the final seconds before impact on it. In several languages, you can hear people cry out, "Oh my God!" There's a clear sound of pounding on the cockpit's metal door. It became clear the plane had been hijacked. But this wasn't a terrorist attack. To understand what really happened, we need to reconstruct the final moments. This is not a story about external terrorists. It's a tragedy from within, caused by a pilot and a system that wasn't ready to stop him. At 10:01 a.m. on March 24, 2015, the plane departs Barcelona. At the controls are Captain Patrick Sondenheimer, 34 years old, a married father of 2, and Andreas Lubitz, 27, someone who dreamed of being a pilot since childhood. His room had posters of Airbus and Lufthansa. For the first 20 minutes, they chat amicably. The crew checks in. Everything looks normal, but the disaster has already been planned. At 10:28 a.m., the captain asks Andreas Lubitz to take the controls and leaves the cockpit to use the restroom. The moment the door closes, Lubitz immediately sets the autopilot to descend. He dials the altitude down to 100 feet. When the captain returns, the door is already locked. The captain asks to be let back in, but Andreas Lubitz doesn't respond. He pounds furiously on the door, tries to kick it in, but the reinforced door is sealed tight. To understand how this could happen, we have to look at the technical barriers put in place after 2001. Reinforced cockpit doors and strict access protocols were meant to protect against terrorists. The door had a complex electric lock with a keypad and an open-close switch. Only authorized crew could enter. Access required a keypad request and approval from the cockpit crew. There was also an emergency override in case of a suspected threat, a special code that could be used to open the door in an emergency. These measures were designed to prevent outsiders from getting in, while still allowing trusted crew to enter when needed. However, ultimate control always remained inside the cockpit via a single switch. The door could be locked out, blocking even the emergency codes. This was meant to protect pilots from external threats. No one foresaw that someone inside the crew would use it. In the wrong hands, it became a deadly weapon. But why did the first officer do this? According to investigators, does part of the blame lie with Europe's human rights-driven privacy protections? And how were the warning signs ignored? Early in his training, in 2009, Andreas took several months off from flight school due to a prolonged depression. He recovered and was given a second chance. Training didn't come easy. He told a friend there was too much stress. When he returned, he disclosed his depression in his medical paperwork and emphasized it in a letter. However, against guidelines, Lufthansa did not report this episode to Germany's Aviation Oversight Authority. That allowed him, in September 2013, to join Germanwings as a flight attendant, and by 2014, he was promoted to first officer on the Airbus A320. For years, his records showed a complicated history of depression and mental health issues. His pilot license carried an SIC note requiring regular medical checks. His depressive episodes grew more severe. His medications intensified. He was seeing doctors, but he hid his health problems from his employer. In 2015, he experienced hallucinations, vision issues, hypochondria, psychosis. He saw multiple doctors and received several sick notes in the month before the crash. Doctors repeatedly marked him unfit to fly, but those warnings never reached aviation authorities. Strict privacy laws in Germany and elsewhere prevented doctors from breaking medical confidentiality, since doing so would violate human rights. unless there was a clear, immediate threat. Personal data privacy in Germany is sacrosanct. The system relied on pilots to self-report if they felt something was wrong. That turned out to be tragically naive. According to the official report, 2 weeks before the crash, Andreas was supposed to be treated in a psychiatric clinic, but he wasn't admitted in time. That allowed him to keep flying and to prepare the attack. 4 days before the crash, he searched the internet for bipolarity and manic depression. He also looked up how the cockpit door lock works and methods of suicide. Fun fact, as a nickname, Andreas used Sky Devil during the flight and right before the crash. From the cockpit voice recorder, investigators heard his steady breathing. In the background, you can clearly hear pounding on the door and passengers screaming, showing he ignored it all and remained fully conscious and calm until impact. Because of his actions, 144 passengers, 4 flight attendants, and 2 pilots were killed, including 16 students and 2 teachers from the Joseph Koenig Gymnasium, returning from an exchange in Catalonia. At first, everyone thought it was a technical failure, but when the awful truth came out, Lufthansa paid millions of euros in compensation to the families. Still, nothing could undo what happened that day, what changed after the tragedy. And have flights really become safer? The aftermath forced the aviation industry to face a brutal reality. Major reforms followed. Aviation authorities around the world strengthened psychological screening for pilots. Now they undergo multi-layered medical and psychological resilience testing. The most radical change was the 2-person rule in the cockpit. A pilot would never be left alone at the controls again. Airlines were required to ensure that if one pilot leaves the cockpit, a flight attendant must enter and remain there. It seemed like the obvious fix for a deadly vulnerability, but over time, shortcomings emerged. Critics argued the rule introduced new risks, unqualified personnel in the cockpit, operational complications, and a false sense of security. By 2023, many countries quietly rolled it back, relying instead on modern technology and deeper monitoring of pilots' mental health. In the EU, they established a requirement to conduct a psychological assessment of pilots within 24 months of hiring. Employees must have access to confidential support programs to spot issues early and guide them to a psychologist. There are also alcohol and psychoactive substance tests. Even so, doctors warn that mental health problems aren't always easy to detect because a patient can conceal them carefully. That doesn't mean you should fear flying. Aviation history includes tragic episodes that force us to learn and improve. This case pushed the industry to take pilot screening more seriously. Germanwings rebranded to Eurowings in an attempt to escape the shadow of the tragedy. Germanwings flights were finally discontinued on April 7, 2020. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That way I'll know you enjoy this kind of content and I'll make more of it.